Welcome to our first hour of Court TV Live. I'm Julie Grant. We begin in Tallahassee, Florida, with a deadly shooting on the campus of Florida State University. We know that 2 people have died and 6 people are injured. Police say the shooter is 20-year-old student Phoenix Eichner. He's the son of a veteran Leon County Sheriff's deputy, and police say that he used her old service weapon.
The question as it relates to who is the shooter is 20-year-old Phoenix Eichner. And he's the son of a Leon County Sheriff deputy. Our Deputy Eichner, has been with the Leon County Sheriff's Office for over 18 years. She has a tremendous job that she's done. Her service to this community has been exceptional. Unfortunately, her son had access to one of her weapons, and that was one of the weapons that was found at the scene. And we will continue that investigation into how that weapon was used and what other weapons perhaps he may have had access to. The alleged shooter was also a long-standing member of the Leon County Sheriff's Office Citizen Advisory or Youth Advisory Council. So he has been steeped in the Leon County Sheriff's Office family, engaged in a number of training programs that we have. So it's not a surprise to us that he had access to weapons.
Oh, this is just so awful. We're going to continue following this case through every step. That suspect hospitalized after being shot by police. Lots of questions as to why this happened. And then, of course, questions about the protocol at home. You heard in the last clip officials talking about how they say the shooter got the gun from his mother, who did an exceptional job in her service as a sheriff deputy. But how did this weapon get in this young man's hands? Why wasn't it secured? Let's bring in our guests. Still with me, criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Joe Tamburino, and I want to welcome in a special guest joining us from New York. He's retired from the NYPD and from Nassau County, retired at the rank of Lieutenant Mike Gould. Ooh, a sad morning it is. I know, Mike and Joe, your hearts go out to everyone on that campus affected by this. And there are more questions at this point than there are answers. But going through some of the factual information that we have, I want to start with this shooter, according to police, allegedly getting the gun from his mom at home, that it was a duty weapon. Lieutenant Gould, what is the protocol for officers when they take their service weapons home?
Yeah, Julie, so indeed, this is sad circumstances all around, certainly for the victims. And then the mom, but frankly, law enforcement 101, you have to secure your weapon. We're professionals, so we're not even a member of a gun club. We are professionals. This is indoctrinated into us in the police academy. Securing your weapon is paramount. There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
Mm-hmm. And would you walk us through a little bit more, Lieutenant, for folks who are not gun owners and who might not have any idea how one does that, what would be the best way to secure one's weapon in the home?
Right, so you have to put it in a safe, somewhere it's not accessible to anyone, children, adults. So you have to take great pains to do that. You just can't, so how this person had access to it, I'm not sure. What was a little concerning was the sheriff said they assumed he had access to weapons. I don't see where that assumption would be made. Just because he's a volunteer for the sheriff's department in school safety and his mom is a sheriff, it doesn't mean that these weapons shouldn't be available or assumed to be available to anyone but the person the gun is issued to. So they have to be locked away, maybe in a closet, just like you would put away any valuables that are not accessible. And it's just that simple. I think after 18 years, sometimes we get lax. If we don't see any signs of family members being a little bit off, we might become lax with it. And apparently this person, he doesn't fit the normal profile of a school shooter if we have one. he's not a lone wolf shooter. He's not disenfranchised. So that is a little bit concerning that he fits no profile if we were going to try to establish one.
Right. I love that point, Lieutenant, and I want to talk more about it with you, about him and how he was apparently very interested in some of the citizen programs that the Sheriff's Department in Leon County would offer, and wanted to avail himself of that information, expressing interest. And you're right, he's not a law enforcement officer, you know, and so if he is going to own weapons, has to be legally done, and he shouldn't have access to his mother's weapon issued from the department. On that point, Joe Tamburino, I want to ask you about legally. Is there any liability for his mother in this?
Yes, there could be. Unfortunately, the whole situation is just unbelievably tragic. You know, this brings us back to the Crumley situation. You know, Ethan Crumley's parents, who were convicted because they allowed their son to have guns. They were very negligent in the storage and watching over the firearms in their house. So yes, she could have some liability, which raises the next question, which is who's going to investigate this? I mean, she works for the Leon County Sheriff's Department. How could they investigate one of their own? So I would imagine the Leon County Sheriff's Department is going to have to bring in, and I'd like to get the lieutenant's opinion on this, they're going to have to bring in some type of outside investigative agency. You simply would have a conflict when you're trying to determine whether or not one of your employees negligently stored their firearm, and therefore that employee's son got it and committed these horrific acts.
Oh, Joe, thank you for that. You know, that's an excellent point. Lieutenant, would love to ask you, you know, you were a commander of the K-9 unit in Nassau County. You know, if IAB from the department gets involved, it's a whole different situation. They know this woman. You could tell the official speaking there was acknowledging her excellent service, and we're not taking away from any of the good she's done, putting on that uniform, serving the people, but there's attachment there with colleagues. How might this go? Who may be brought in to take over, Lieutenant?
Right. So to Joe's point, absolutely, you have to have an independent eye on this. So in this case, it's going to be probably begin with the state police, and then, of course, ultimately the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, which is the state investigative body. So I'm sure they will, if they're not already, overseeing the investigation. I'm not sure about the criminal consequences of it. It's early in the investigation. But the other, I think there's a distinction between some of those other cases where there was active involvement between the kids or the suspects and the parents facilitating the use of the weapon. This, I see it more as a civil problem, but we'll see as the evidence unfolds.
Sure, civil liability certainly is a possibility for this deputy lieutenant. And thank you for that. So we would have independent police agencies coming in. And then, Joe, what about the prosecutors on this? Who do you think would come in to handle the prosecution? Because, as you know, these state prosecutors are working hand in hand with those Leon County deputies every day.
Well, we've seen this before. I mean, this happens basically in many jurisdictions where a prosecutor's office would have to recuse themselves. Why? Because the person who's being prosecuted has such a tie to the office. Whether that is, it could be someone who's related to someone in the prosecutor's office, or it could be someone who's closely tied to the police agency that the prosecutor's office uses. Now, I'm not saying there's an automatic conflict, but you'd have to look into that. Many times, sure, a prosecutor could easily prosecute a police officer's son in their jurisdiction, but it depends on the relationship. I mean, I would imagine that the Leon County Sheriff's Department is the main investigative arm for Leon County, which means the DA there is going to be intimately involved with them on who knows how many cases. So it's something that I think will be looked at. Is there an automatic conflict? No, we don't know that.
Sure. Appreciate it, Joe. I have a clip for you both from the chief of police yesterday at that press conference, speaking out about some of the details we know thus far.
At approximately 11:50 a.m. Thursday, April 17th, a gunman opened fire on the main campus of Florida State University in Tallahassee, shooting multiple individuals in the vicinity of the Student Union building. FSU police responded immediately, engaged, neutralized, and apprehended the shooter.
2 people killed, 6 people injured, countless people terrorized by this event. And we have very little information. We don't have names yet this morning and know who these victims are. Of course, as soon as we get that information, we want to pay them more, respect and give them our well wishes as they continue this healing process. Lieutenant Gould, we know this is a problem, and we know it's becoming normal. I was saying to my colleagues how when I was growing up, we had tornado drills and fire drills. We never had active shooter drills. And I was thinking about these students on this campus probably grew up with the active shooter drills. Your thoughts on what we can do differently to harden these targets?
Yeah, actually, Julie, that was striking to me. I'm a little older than you, so we participated in air raid drills. We used to have to go under the desk because of the Cuban Missile Crisis. So we've all, I think, through history, have taken safety in schools carefully. But honestly, in this case, I really give credit to the law enforcement, the staff, the students, because you're quite correct. It dawned on me they have been indoctrinated into active school shootings, these college kids, since they were in kindergarten. So it's never going to be 100%. This is about as good as it gets. We could be talking about 30 fatalities today instead of 2, sadly. So, yeah, we have become desensitized to these stories. And, Lauren, this is what they got to do. Train. And, all the technology with cell phone notifications. This worked. Sadly, 2 people died. But effectively, this was a relatively good outcome, considering the size of the campus in Tallahassee. It's huge.
That's a great point, Lieutenant. Looking at it, glass half full, glass half empty, that's a great point. There were many lives saved because of the quick action and the officers who so bravely engaged that suspect. They shot him. That's why he's in the hospital. They shot him and stopped the threat before more people could be injured or killed. So I certainly appreciate that point. We'll leave it here for now. Again, our hearts, our prayers are with all of the victims.